Hi, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things of the spiritual journey and spiritual awakening so you can connect to your purpose and your authentic self. Okay, I am going to talk about my dark night of the soul journey and everything I've experienced in my dark night of the soul journey, and hopefully this will be able to help you and guide you in some way, shape, or form to getting out of your toughest times, okay? Because this dark night of the soul is no joke, baby. And I say that with exclamation marks, no joke. Like, seriously, like, if you go through the dark night of the soul, you are literally God's soldier. I don't care what nobody says, because that is very freaking dark. It's not called dark night of the soul for no reason, okay? So the dark night of the soul, oh my God, I feel like this might need to be a two-part series, because the dark night of the soul, I can talk so much about it. Like, seriously, I probably need to go in like depths of the stages of the dark night of the soul, because when I was having my first awakening, the dark night of the soul kind of hit right after, like the depression and the not wanting to be here and the slowly dissociating. It went into a dark night of the soul journey, and it lasted for a very long time. Okay, I feel like during my awakening and also the dark night of the soul, I feel like that was like a span of like 2 to 3 years. I'm not even kidding. Like, I was in the dark for like 2 to 3 years. I was okay, 2 years. I would say 2 years, because after the pandemic, I lasted there for like 2 years. But it was so long. It felt like so long, because like my life shattered and then it just never went back to normal. And I think that throughout that whole entire time, I was looking for my life to get back to what it used to be. And I didn't realize for a long time that it was never going to go back to that. I didn't realize that in the 2 years that I was going through, the dark night of the soul that I was in. It was just never going to come back. And I think that also made me even more sad and made me feel more depressed, because I was trying to make my life back to what it was. I really was. I wanted stability again. Everything collapsed. Everything fell apart, and I didn't know why it was happening. I didn't know what I did wrong, and I just couldn't do anything for the life of me go back to what I used to do. It was so hard. Like, oh God, thinking about it, I'm just like stressed out, because it was very, very difficult for me to live. It really was. And it's just like nobody knew. I don't think I even knew the depths of it, because I was trying my best really to like not fall down and stay down. But I was down. I was down really bad. Badder than I've ever been down. I've never even been down before. Like that was the down. That was all the down that I needed, because I was disconnecting from who I used to be. And that requires you to dismantle everything that you've ever known yourself to be. And that is very difficult, okay? To take away from everything that you used to do and used to know and used to be. It was terrible. So during the dark night of the soul, I was definitely heavy dissociating. It was just really intense. It was really hard for me to do the simplest things. I was disconnected with reality. I was having a hard time trying to even do things like work. Like, I barely was working at this time. Like, I was doing the bare minimum. I'm not even kidding. I was doing the bare minimum to like survive. I was doing the bare minimum to feed myself. I was doing the bare minimum to like keep myself looking good and feeling good. Was not doing any physical activity. Like, it was just bad. I went back to drinking, being outside again. I went back to drinking, and I just went deeper into my bad habits, actually. Like, all that like meditation and like journaling, it went out the window. I was journaling like once every 3 months, once a month maybe. everything went out the window once things started opening back up, and I just went down into a darker hole because I was trying to go back to the habits, into the things that I was used to doing that I only know how to do. Okay? But I knew in my spirit at the time, like, I'm not supposed to be doing this. Something more is calling for me, but I don't know what that is because all I know is this, right? So now I'm battling with myself. It's like battling with my ego and my higher self, and they're like clashing so fucking hard, where to the point where I'm just like, I don't want to do nothing. You know, when you have a lot of things to do and you are overwhelmed by it, so you don't do anything? That's exactly what I was doing. I did nothing. It was just too much for me to do. Do what? Do what? I didn't even know where to start to do anything. And it was like, I knew I wanted to do these things, but I just didn't have it in me to do it. I was just so filled with sadness and dissociation. I literally couldn't. I'm going to read to you one of my, because it's so interesting for me to see where I was in this time. And like, as I read in my journal, you start to see when I am like finally getting it together. So I want you guys to like tap into that energy as I read it and like, you know, share my story. So I wrote this on January 22nd of 2021. And I said, this year came and honestly, I've been feeling like shit. I never really even thought about how the pandemic would affect me, but boy, has it been kicking my ass. I've been feeling completely lost, like completely dissociated from what's going on, from what life is. No connection on what's happening at the present moment. No thoughts really, kind of running on autopilot. I looked up this disorder and in fact I have it. I wonder what can help me focus and get back on track. At least I noticed that I'm not present. I should probably read the Book of Now again. It really helped. When I looked up what caused it, trauma came up. Also very stressed, which is what I've been feeling for a number of reasons. It's crazy because as I was writing this, trying to explain the feeling of being dissociated, I immediately thought of me sitting on a couch and kind of watching myself from afar being spaced out. And I remember this so clearly too. Like, I was completely spaced out, and I remember I would kind of step outside of myself. I would step outside of my body and see myself being spaced out. Like, it was so weird to see myself in that way. Like, that's how disconnected I was from like my reality and my body. When I look up the symptoms, it said you may be experiencing outer body experience, like watching yourself. It's so crazy that I'm experiencing all of those things, and I didn't even notice my life getting so bad. But I no longer want to feel this way, so I need to make a plan. And then I write down a list of how to disconnect from being dissociative. And I wrote things like writing in a journal, slow breathing, meditation, mindful walks, using your senses and being mindful of it. So one of the things that can help you with dissociation is tapping into your senses. Tapping into your senses when you're eating, being present in the moment where you're eating and tasting the food, and talking about what you're tasting. Smelling flowers, wearing some nice perfume so you can smell that, washing your hair with something nice, literally touching something, like, even if you have like one of those like anxiety toys, like, it's just like being aware that you're touching something can bring you back to the present moment. This is something super helpful for anxiety and also dissociation that I have used that I know for sure works. So I basically made a whole list of things that I wanted to do to like get myself back together, because I literally was just lost, and it was so intense. So lost. I don't even know. It was so intense. Like, the Dark Night of the Soul journey is really no fucking joke. Like, I don't wish that on anybody, but I do actually, so we can wake up. But yeah, there was a lot of times where I was just really sad and alone and like completely dissociating, and I knew that people around me didn't know what was going on, and people in fact were like judging me for where I was at in my life. And like, I felt that, and I felt bad because I literally didn't have the energy to do it. Like, I was just down bad, and there was nothing I could do about it. Like, I felt hopeless. I felt completely hopeless, and I felt alone and lost, and I can't. Like, my heart hurts for my old self. But I'm here, baby. Look at me now. Look at me now. Look at me now. Oh. Whew. Like, I remember even writing and saying, like, oh, my handwriting looks crazy. Like, I'm not even writing like myself. Like, that's how much I was disconnected from who I was. And that's because I was disconnecting from who I was. That is a part of the dark night of the soul journey. The dark night of the soul journey is you disconnecting from who you think that your soul is. You're disconnecting from the parts of you that do not actually resonate with who you are, with who your soul is. That's why it's dark, because you're shedding light into your soul again. When you're in the dark, you're bringing your soul to the light. That's why you're in the dark, because you're leaving the dark parts of you, which is the parts that were built off of your environment, what you've been told, society, and your traumas and your wounds. Those parts are disconnecting from your soul. Your soul is just there waiting for you to leave that darkness so it could shine its light. That's all the dark night of the soul journey is. It wants you to shine your light. And so many good things came from the dark night of the soul after I left it. Absolutely. Because I stepped into my power. Let me tell you. I stepped into my motherfucking power. And can nobody tell me shit. Because I came out of that like a motherfucking soldier. When you go to the dark night of the soul and you come out, baby, I'm ready for whatever. And I mean that shit. I'm ready for anything. Because I just escaped my fucking nightmare that I was living in the present moment. My present moment was the darkness. My present moment was all the things that I honestly was trying to escape from this entire time. You wouldn't be going through the dark night of soul journey if you were at your light. You just wouldn't. You're not going to. You're supposed to awaken that fire in you. You're supposed to awaken your inner light, your inner spirit, your soul purpose, your authenticity. That's what happens when you go through this journey. That's why it's very, very necessary. But they're not going to tell you that. They don't want you to get all spiritual. They don't want you to get the crystals. They don't want you to get into tarot. They don't want you to get into any of this because they don't want you to find your own self-power. They don't want you to find your light, because if you find your light, they won't be able to control you anymore. You won't be able to be a puppet. But that's why the journey is so intense and so tough, because you're breaking away from the fucking threads that's been making you be the puppet. You're taking off the mask. You're literally ripping it off your fucking face. And you're dead. You're naked. You are dying. That's why it's dark, because you do die. You're dying you're killing an old version of yourself. That's what's happening. And throughout the journey, throughout the awakening, that's exactly what happens. You just keep shedding layers and layers off yourself until you become your authentic self. And even then, it still happens. You're still shedding. It's a beautiful, beautiful journey. I am obsessed with it. And that's why I'm going to talk about it all of the time. Because you're shedding into being who you're meant to be. Okay? It's so beautiful. And I'll tap more into this dark night of the soul. I'll do smaller videos, because this journey ain't no fucking hoe. Ain't no joke. But if you ever went through a dark night of the soul and you here now, you are that girl. Okay? You are that everything. You are powerful. You are magnetic. You are resilient. You are brave. You were meant to be here to be your authentic self. You were meant to be here to live in your truth and live in your purpose. So shout outs to you if you've been through your dark night of the soul. And shout outs to every single body that is brave enough to go into that. Because honestly, baby, you don't have a choice. Once you open that door, once you wake up, you can't go back. You don't want to go back. As dark as it is, you're still looking for more. You're gonna still look for more. So with this journey ain't no hoe, but neither are you. Obviously, you have the ability, the power, the resilience, the inner fire, the inner flame to go through it. And that's why you will. If you're on this page, you've probably been through an awakening, or you're going to go through one, or you're going through one right now. So kudos to you to having the power to go through this, to go through this darkness so you can enter your light. And that light is gonna beam, baby. Okay? That light is going to blind people's eyes. The ones that are sleeping, of course. The ones that are not tapped into this energy. Because once you tap in to this energy, your frequency starts to brighten up. And so that's why you disconnect from the people. When you're in that dark night of the soul journey, you are disconnected from everybody. You're given hermit mode. You are disconnected from everybody and everything. You don't resonate with those people anymore, and it's for a reason. Because you're shedding that version of yourself that did resonate with these people. And it sucks sometimes, because there's people that you thought you was gonna be with forever. In relationships, friendships, your jobs, that shit all goes away because it's not you. And you're gonna feel that. It's gonna be an inner feeling that you wake up every day and you're like, oh my God, no, I can't. You're gonna be talking two different languages. That's what happens. You start talking two different languages. So this is what the journey is giving. Like, this is what happens when you go to the dark night of the soul. It is very deep, very intense. You are going into deep emotions of yourself and finding your light. But it's the dark phase where you don't have a flashlight. You're just in the darkness. And so it feels very scary. And it feels very alone, and it feels like you're just stuck in the unknown, but it's so worth it. Like, I'm telling you, do not give up. I promise you, and you'll see when I tell you my story, that it's worth it. So stick with me. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you like what I'm talking about. Let me know if you have any questions about your dark night of the soul journey. If you have experienced it, if you entered it already, or you think you're about to enter it. If you want some signs, I'll do a video about signs of the dark night of the soul journey, so it could be different. It could be shorter. But let me know. Ask away. I would love to help anybody. I wish I had the courage to ask somebody for help. So I would like to, offer the help. I would love to help anybody that's going through this journey right now. So hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned.